It's been 15 years since the release of Halo Reach, and it remains a masterclass in how to tell a story where you already know the ending is going to be depressing and miserable, and yet there's still a strong sense of dread and sadness throughout the story. The ending may be predictable, but the journey is anything but. Halo Reach marked the end of Bungie's involvement with Halo, and they tried their absolute best to make Reach a fun, engaging, and memorable experience. They succeeded by turning it into a depression simulator, but with guns and jetpacks. The best way I can describe the story is one step forward, two steps back. Every time the UNSC gains some ground against the Covenant, they bounce back and hit harder. For example, looking at the mission Tip of the Spear, you destroy the enemy spire, only for your supercarrier to be destroyed by the enemy supercarrier. Jorg's reaction says it all.
Somebody tell me this ain't happening.
Despite being a super soldier, you can hear the shock and desperation in his voice when the supercarrier was destroyed instantaneously. Speaking of George, his death is a perfect example of subverted expectations. In the moment, you think George's death will amount to something as the enemy supercarrier will be destroyed, but his death was in vain as the entire Covenant armada appears right after his sacrifice.
Slip space rupture detected.
Gamma station control. Reading multiple pings below the orbital defense.
Slip space rupture detected.
Yeah, we're picking up anomalies too. Are you reading
Slip space rupture
it? Multiple
detected.
Covenant signatures.
Slip space rupture detected.
It subverts your expectations, but you remember this is Halo Reach, and in the end, Reach will fall. It's just that this death feels like a betrayal of storytelling, but in a good way. The rules were broken, but they were shaky to begin with. With the Pillar of Autumn, after Emil's death, it's up to the player to get on the gun and defend the Pillar of Autumn, but the only issue is that Noble Six will be stuck on Reach, which will lead to his death. And the entirety of Exodus, which is something I'll get back to later. Throughout the game, no matter what you do, the Covenant will bounce back. In a way, the villains are taking a page out of the hero's playbook, never giving up and standing back up after you take a hit.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Regarding gameplay, one thing I want to point out is that the sandbox and the variety it offers. Levels are relatively wide, giving the player options for how they want to tackle objectives. There's also a large variety of weapons the player has at their disposal, all with their unique strengths and weaknesses and suited for different playstyles. If you choose a DMR, you will have to keep enemies at a distance, whereas the Needler will force you up close. Fortunately, most weapons are viable, so in a pinch where you're low on ammo, you can rely on weapons you find on the ground to finish the fight. However, there is an issue with the enemy's melee. Since the elite melee kills you within one hit, it forces you to stay at a distance. Coupled with the fact that the DMR is by far the best weapon in the game, on higher difficulties, the best option is to keep the enemies at a distance. There's a lower incentive to get up close with weapons with lower damage but a higher fire rate like the plasma repeater. However, aside from the one-hit melee, there are minimal unfair deaths throughout the game. Most enemies have predictable AI and patterns that can be overcome with planning and precision. There is a good variety of gameplay and level design where no two missions are identical. Winter Contingency is a good introduction to the basic gameplay mechanics and to driving land vehicles. It ends with a mini-boss fight against the Zealot elites, which are just as strong as any Spartan, if not stronger.
Like it. This is brilliant, but I like this.
The level features wide open areas and tight claustrophobic areas, providing a variety of gameplay design choices. Long Night of Solace is a standout mission due to the dogfight you can have in outer space and the temporary zero-G gunfight you can have. One thing I had to get used to was that the sprint was not an automatic option, and I had to equip it over other abilities like jetpacks, holograms, and armor lock. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but over the past few years, I can imagine most gamers are accustomed to games with built-in sprinting and other abilities. It was a new set of muscle memories I had to learn.
The fun of assembly. It's not fun to do this. Your wife leaves you, she's in bed with the milkman, and you're like, oh, where's my front suspension unit?
New Alexandria is an excellent mission due to the Falcon and the exploration of the city's destruction. The mission also reinforces the story's hopelessness and dread and serves as a good prelude to the fall of Reach. Watching the dark destruction of a once bright, vibrant city as seen in Exodus is borderline harrowing. And speaking of Exodus, it's my favourite mission in the entire game. It starts with Noble Six wounded and armed with just a magnum, fighting through suicide grunts in a dark and claustrophobic building. One borderline horrifying detail is the number of dead civilians you see in said building. Then you get out in the open and the Marines are relieved to find a spot and help turn the tide in the favor of the UNSC, and you do to an extent. You fight against brutes, you use jetpacks, you defend civilians, but you can't shake the feeling that this worst is yet to come. And then comes the turret section, one of my personal favorite scripted sequences in any video game ever. Now, on-rails turret sections in first-person shooters are a standard and safe affair. However, Reach does not play it safe. Throughout the section, one idea is ingrained in the player's mind: you can't save everyone. You can shoot and shoot your minigun, but you can't kill every member of the Covenant. You can't destroy every Wraith and enemy vehicle that is attacking the civilians and Marines, and you can't save the civilian aircraft that gets shot down.
Hold on, Echo. So, Dawn, I have multiple Russian craft. I have got to get them out of the city. I need air support now. As soon as something frees up, you'll be the first to be not good enough.
I've got 600 soldiers on board, Sergeant Major. I can't wait any longer.
Negative, Echo. So I can't cover you. Do not take off.
Bitch, I can't watch this.
Fox Actual, should we send search and rescue birds?
Negative, dispatch. No point.
This scene really reinforces the hopelessness that Reach is going through. Overall, it's a fun yet sad ride. The gameplay is open and offers the player options without messing with the developer's pace or original intention. There is great level design with a lot of variety in gameplay and mission objectives, where no two missions feel the same, and the story does an excellent job of selling the apocalyptic nature of the fall of Reach without it being too exaggerated or over the top. And in a way, you still win, but to achieve victory, Noble Team had to taste defeat. This is Zach, not Zach, signing off. Please remember to like, favorite, and subscribe.